I got a little bit of a grammar goodie for you today, a little tidbit of information that you need to know. Today's grammar goodie is going to center around subject versus object pronouns. In other words, I versus me. So we want to talk about when is the correct time to use the pronoun I and when is the correct time to use the pronoun me. Now I know that you all know that I is a subject pronoun because you memorize those. We say the 7 subject pronouns easy as can be: I, we, he, she, it, they, you. I also know that you know that me is an object pronoun because you memorize those, remember? Me, us, him, her, it, them, and you. Those are object pronouns. So here is what I see all the time. I see sentences like, me and Billy Joe ate hamburgers for lunch. Okay, we say that all the time. Sounds right. I know what you mean, but it is not grammatically correct. And the reason is this. If you will separate your subject into its parts, so I have me, and I have Ann connecting them, and I have Billy Joe. So I actually have a 3-part subject there. The way that I test whether I should use me or I is to cover up parts of the subject. Would I ever say, me ate hamburgers for lunch? Absolutely not. I hope not anyway. And so this is when I know that I'm supposed to use the word I. Okay? Now, does it make sense for me to say, I and Billy Joe ate hamburgers? It's not exactly grammatically correct because we are cordial and nice people, and so we always put our guests before us, and we say Billy Joe and I ate hamburgers for lunch. So if I can cover up my subject, separate it into its singular parts, if it makes sense when I do this, then I've used the correct pronoun. Me ate hamburgers for lunch would never make sense. However, I ate hamburgers for lunch would. And you can still separate this into its parts. I still have Billy Joe, I have my connector, and I have my I. If I cover up Billy Joe and I ate hamburgers for lunch. Still makes sense. Of course, hamburger would be singular unless I were starving, but the object here is whether or not I'm using the correct pronoun. Another example of this is using the pronoun me. When should I use the pronoun me? Obviously, I'd have to use it sometime because it's a word, right? And so it's the same concept. If you demonstrate this, he gave flowers to Mom. Let's say me and Mom. We say this all the time. I actually hear people say he gave flowers to Mom, and people are trying, they're trying to be correct, and then he gave flowers to Mom and me. Okay, so let's take a look at those 3 sentences. Again, anywhere that you have a me and an and, you want to separate those into its parts. Okay, so I have me and Mom. I have Mom and I have Mom and me. Now, if I ever need to know which is the correct one to use, all I do is the cover-up test. Okay, he gave flowers to me. Makes sense, right? He gave flowers to Mom. Okay, this one would work. How about he gave flowers to I? No, that doesn't work. You never say he gave flowers to I. He gave flowers to Mom and me. If I cover that up, he gave flowers to me. So both of these are correct, but remember, this one is going to be the one that you want to choose because your guest, the guest in your sentence, goes first. So technically this one's correct because you use me and Mom. However, Mom and me is more correct because you use the correct pronoun and your guest went first. So we want to be cordial English language users and we want to use things correctly. So remember, if you can't decide between I and me, do the cover-up test, okay? Me ate hamburgers would never work. However, I ate hamburgers would work. And you always want to be cordial and make sure that your guest goes first. That's just good manners. Okay, cover up test. I would never say he gave flowers to Mom and I because I would never say he gave flowers to I. So either of these is correct, technically, but we are good mannered and cordial and we make sure that our guest comes first. And so this is the one that is grammatically correct. Well, that's your grammar goodie for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. There's going to be many more to come.